This is a model of a historic machine, the Weserhütte W180, which was made over a 20-year period commencing at the end of the 1960s. It's modelled here rigged with a piling hammer. For the historic series models, NZG packed them in this age style of box with interesting artwork. Inside the box is a couple of polystyrene trays and a sheet of instructions. And the trays themselves are fairly tightly packed. Looking in the top first, you can take the lid off and you see most of the parts of the piling equipment. And in the bottom half of the tray there is the crane itself and also a pair of cotton gloves, which is a nice touch for handling the model. There are quite a few parts when you take them all out of the box, but NZG do provide a very good sheet of instructions which are all in colour, and they are clear and helpful in guiding the assembly. We will start the assembly by attaching the boom top to the crane, and it's just a push fit with pins, which is an older system but it does work reasonably well on this model. It produces a tight connection without any unsightly nuts and bolts. To reeve up the crane you access the winches through the opening doors in the model, and then you can just pull out some of the thread. And the first bit to sort out is the winch which raises the boom, and you can just thread that through the pulleys on the top of the A-frame. And then you can take the thread to the boom top. Here you really need to use the special tool that NZG provides, so you just feed the metal loop through first, put some thread through it, and then you can pull the thread through because it's difficult to feed it through otherwise. When the reeving's done, you tie off and trim the end. You can then use one of the supplied keys to raise the boom, although on the review model it was very stiff, so some pliers were used to help. Next up is taking out some thread for the piling hammer and raising the leader, and to do that you open the flaps on the front of the body. The ends of the thread have been secured on a little piece of card to stop them getting lost inside the body, and then you can just use a key again through one of the opening doors to start releasing the thread. Again, you need to use the threading tool at the boom head because it's quite difficult just to feed it through manually. But for the final section, the piling hammer rope can just be threaded through, ready to go to the top of the leader. One problem you could have with this model is the threads tangling up inside the body, but that's easy to resolve because you can unscrew 4 screws on the bottom and take the body off. But that's quite interesting to do anyway because it's really interesting to look inside the model and see the various gears that are provided and the winches and how they work, and you can also see there's a detailed engine as well. There are some bits of clear plastic which are used to guide the thread and stop it tangling, which is a little bit of a clunky mechanism, but overall it looks really interesting inside the body. And when you're done you can just put the top back on, and you have to just make sure you put the sliding doors in before you tighten up the screws. So on with the rest of the assembly, and before you join the two pieces of the leaders together you need to slide on the various pieces that fit onto the leader, because once the leaders join together you can't get them on, so that includes 2 sliding pieces and the hammer. Once those are slotted on you can then just join the 2 pieces of the leader together, and it's a good engineering connection, it's very solid, and you just put in a couple of pins to secure the joint. Once the leader is fully pre-assembled you can then move to attach it to the crane. Probably the easiest way to do that is to attach it first at the bottom using the hydraulic ram, and that just pushes into place. And then you can attach it at the boom top, and that's quite interesting because there's a ball joint and you can see that the sliding piece just hooks onto it, and then you put a closing piece in which screws into place, and that produces a very flexible kind of a joint, so you can angle the leader side to side or in and out. The next bit of reeving to do is for the hoist that raises the leader, and so again you release some of the thread using the special tool through one of the doorways, and then you just reeve it up, and this is quite a difficult piece of reeving because the pulleys are very small. The last bit of reeving is just to tie off the hammer hoist rope, and that just needs to be done securely enough that you can raise and lower the hammer, and just to tidy it up you can trim the end off. The final assembly is to attach the walkways on both sides of the crane, and they just press into place, and that's quite a good feature because it means that the transport width can be reduced if you want to put it on a low loader. Looking underneath first, there is some detail on the underside, and the tracks are metal and look pretty good. They are mounted on track frames which are metal and look quite simple, but they're convincing. Looking underneath the cab you can just see the slewing ring, which is a good detail, and the interior of the cab's fine too. It's a bit basic, but then older cranes were basic. There are decent metal handrails and chains which might be slightly overscale, but they look fine, and the Weserhütte name looks really good on the counterweight. Detailing around the sides of the body is good, and it's great to see the gear wheels by looking in through the doorways. On the roof the exhausts look good, the A-frame has metal pulleys, but it would have been nice if the rivets had been painted. The boom sections are nicely cast, and again there are metal pulleys in the boom top. The leader is a simple part, but it's all metal and robustly made. The piling hammer is nicely made, and it's a heavy metal part, so it fits the bill. The first thing to try out is the crawler tracks, and they're too stiff to roll on a smooth surface. Picking the model up, the tension in the tracks is maintained by having them spring loaded, and it's fairly tight, although you can turn the tracks by hand, although they are really quite stiff. A good feature is that the tracks have working rollers on the underneath, but even on a rough surface there's too much friction in the tracks for them to be able to roll smoothly. One very nice feature of this model is the opening doors, which on both sides slide open, and that gives you access to the various winches inside, so you don't have any holes in the body for the winch keys, which is a really nice detail. And also at the rear of the model there's an opening hinged door which lets you see the engine inside. Another nice touch is the opening flaps, which are at the front top of the crane, and they can just both be shut when the crane is out of service. The position of the leader is fully adjustable on the model, but you can secure it by using fixing pins both on the sliding section at the bottom and also at the boom top. Another pin can be fixed in, and that maintains the whole stability of the model, and that works very well. By adjusting it carefully you can have the leader at a raking angle or just vertical, or even to an offset side angle. As you would expect, the model rotates very well, so you can set it in some interesting poses. And if you like banging, you can give a reasonable impression of piling operations by raising the hammer and then just dropping it. And of course you can control all of the winches by using the special keys, and that works very well on the model. In summary, this is a really nice model of a historic machine by NZG. It's very well made and detailed, and the features provide plenty of interest. It's been available for a number of years, but if you like historic models, it's an outstanding example.